Hello everyone and welcome back to another video by EonTalk. As always, I'm your host Ian, and today I've prepared one of the most highly requested videos of the EonTalk channel. Today's video will be on my list of best Korean horror movies. Previously, I made videos on my list of favorite Korean thrillers, comedies, action, and romance movies, as well as other content such as underrated films, movies available on Netflix, highly rated Korean movies, and more, so if you haven't checked those out, be sure to watch them as well. Anyways, in nearly all of these videos, the EonTalk community has always requested a list on Korean horror movies. However, if you've seen my movie reviews and other content, you might know that I'm not the biggest fan of the horror genre. But if the community asks for it, I gotta deliver. And so, I compiled a top 10 list of Korean horror movies that I've seen and recommend. As with my other videos, the movies here aren't only well-known ones, but also films that I believe are deserving of more recognition, and I've included both older and newer films on this list to keep a good balance. Thus, I'll be going back and forth between more older movies and newer ones. Please remember that these are composed of my personal favorites and are subjective to my totally biased opinions. If you have differing views and opinions, please respectfully leave them in the comments, and if you would like to further discuss, join the EonTalk Telegram group where we recently surpassed 1,000 members. Now then, that being said, let's jump into today's video on best Korean horror movies. Starting off the list, the number 10 film is the 2017 film House of the Disappeared. House of the Disappeared was directed by Im Dae-um, who also directed My Teacher and was one of the 3 directors of the film Horror Stories. House of the Disappeared stars Kim Yoon-jin, Ok Tae-yeon, and Cho Jae-yoon, and I had the opportunity to watch this in theaters when it was first released as I got free tickets and I went into it completely blind. I hadn't watched the trailer, didn't know who was starring in it, and didn't even know it was a horror film. And so, as you may expect, I was completely surprised. I found myself scared out of my body in the theater. Anyways, let's just say that this movie freaked me out, and that's a good thing for a movie of this genre. The synopsis of House of the Disappeared is as follows. Mi-hee, who was arrested for murdering her husband and son, returns to the house where the incident occurred after 25 years of imprisonment. Priest Choi, the only person that believes Mi-hee, visits her to ask about what really happened, but she just repeats, "They killed my husband and took my kid." As Priest Choi investigates to get to the bottom of the truth, he is convinced that there's something very strange about the house. One day, as Mi-hee is alone in the house, she realizes that someone else is in the house with her, just like 25 years ago. The number 9 movie goes to the 2009 film, Possessed. Directed by Lee Yong-ju, Possessed starred the actors Nam Sang-mi, Lee Seung-ryong, Kim Bo-yeon, Shim Eun-kyung, Moon Hee-kyung, and Chang Yong-nam. The film's director also directed one of the best romance melodramas of Korean cinema, Architecture 101. I mentioned Architecture 101 in my best Korean romance movies video, and I must say, the 2 movies this director directed were completely different in tone. One was a complete romance, emotion-inducing movie, whereas the other, Possessed, was a complete horror flick. The director also was on the production team of one of, if not the best Korean crime thrillers, Memories of Murder. The synopsis of Possessed is as follows. On the news that her sister, Sojin, disappeared, Heejin rushes home. The mother of the daughters just goes to church, saying that if she continues to pray, Sojin will return. Tae-wan, the detective in charge, believes the case is just a missing person incident and conducts a normal investigation. Then, the suicide note of a girl, Chung-min, left for Sojin is found, and Heejin and Tae-wan are dumbfounded when they hear from the apartment guard and neighbor that Sojin was a possessed child. As it turns out, Chung-mi and the mother went to the same church, and the next day, the apartment guard is found dead. However, the mother keeps silent and continues to just pray. Sojin's whereabouts become more and more of a mystery, and Heejin's dreams begins to show a vision of the dead. Next, the number 8 film is another more recent movie that does a really good job at freaking the audience out with its tone, acting, and story. SVAHA, The Sixth Finger. This film was directed by Chang Jae-yeon, who also did The Priest and The 12th Assistant Deacon. The film also has a great cast lineup of Lee Jung-jae, Park Jung-min, Lee Jae-in, Yoo Ji-tae, Chung Jin-young, Lee Da-wit, and Shin Sung-yu. As mentioned, this is a more recently released movie, and amongst the horror films that I've seen recently, this is one of the creepiest ones. The reason I enjoy SVAHA The Sixth Finger is the fact that it didn't have the part that I hate the most about horror films, jump scares. I very much appreciated that the film didn't have any unnecessary jump scares and was genuinely scary in its content. I've got a written review of the movie if you would like to read more about it. The synopsis is as follows. In a rural area far from the city, a pair of twin sisters are born. Kuma was born with a disabled leg, and her older sister, who does not have a name, was foreseen to die without living too long. However, both have lived up until now, 16 years later. Meanwhile, Pastor Park, a member of the Institute of Religious Affairs, starts looking into a cult he's discovered. And when a young girl's body is found following a tunnel accident, Pastor Park begins to find correlations between the two. Unfortunately, the suspect of the tunnel accident commits suicide before the investigation officially begins, but Pastor Park manages to find the last person that talked with the suspect. As his investigation grows deeper and deeper, he finds more and more connections between the twins, the cult, and the tunnel accident. Moving along, the number 7 movie is the oldest film on this list, Phone. Phone was directed by An Byung-gi, who's responsible for another horror movie titled Apartment, and the movie stars the young Ha Ji-won as well as Kim Yoo-mi, Choi Woo-jae, Choi Ji-yeon, and Eun So-woo. I remember seeing scenes of this movie when I was a little kid, and I had nightmares for days. Maybe because I saw it at a younger age, but this movie may be one of the main reasons why I don't like this genre. I was traumatized as a little kid. Maybe it won't be as scary if I watch it now, at an older age, and since a lot of time has passed since its release, but I'm not planning on rewatching it anytime soon. Nevertheless, the movie's synopsis is as follows. Ji-won, a journalist, receives threatening phone calls from an unidentified person following revelations she made. Feeling anxious, she tries to change her cell phone number, but the only number available is the number 011-9998-6644, and so, without any other choice, she changes her number to that. However, the phone calls continue. One day, she meets her friend Ho-jung, and when she receives another call, Ho-jung's 5-year-old daughter answers the phone. Following the call, the daughter starts to act strangely, and Ho-jung's family starts to encounter more disturbing events. Meanwhile, Ji-won is chased by the person who threatened her, but she escapes the danger when she receives another call. Ji-won gradually thinks there are some strange relations to the phone and starts to dig into the mysterious events. What Ji-won learns is that the two of the previous owners of the number were killed in a mysterious way, and there was another that was a high schooler that went missing. And Ji-won begins to investigate the missing high school girl. The number 6 movie is the 2018 film Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum. This film was directed by Chung Bum-sik, who also directed another horror film titled Escape, and was one of the other 3 directors of horror stories alongside the earlier mentioned Im Dae-un. The movie stars the likes of Ri Ha-jun, Park Ji-yeon, Oh Ha-yeon, Moon Ye-won, Park Sung-hoon, and Yoo Jae-yoon. Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum is one of the hottest Korean horror movies of recent times. I remember this movie being everywhere when it was first released, and everyone that likes horror movies was talking about it. If you would like to be genuinely scared, Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum is the movie for you. The synopsis is as follows. In 1979, after the mass suicide of 42 patients and the disappearance of the hospital director of the Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital, a group of 7 went on a horror experience trip to the hospital. Gonjiam was a place surrounded by eerie rumors, and the members filmed their trip inside. The group of 7 soon realized that the hospital was not a place to be messed with, as they start to encounter unimaginably terrifying things during their trip inside. 5 down, 5 more to go. Before going to the top 5, which movies do you think will be coming out next? Comment down below what you think the top 5 will be. Then without further ado, let's get into the top 5. Coming in at number 5 of my list of Korean horror films is another older film released back in 2007, Epitaph. This movie had double directors of Chung Bum-sik and Chung Sik. Chung Bum-sik was just mentioned earlier for directing the number 6 movie Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, and Chung Sik was one of 2 directors of The Tooth and the Nail and was also an assistant director to one of the best Korean movies of all time, Oldboy. This film starred the likes of Jin-gu, Lee Dong-gyu, Kim Tae-woo, Kim Bo-kyung, and Ko Ju-yeon, and the synopsis of the movie is as follows. In-young and Dong-won, an elite doctor couple who were studying abroad, suddenly returned home and took positions at the Anseng Hospital. There, they start their new life with Chung-nam, a man who had an arranged marriage with the daughter of the director of the hospital, and Soo-in, a doctor who suffers from a leg injury. Amidst a series of killings that have tainted the area with gruesome rumors, the body of a girl who committed suicide and the only surviving girl of a car accident are brought to the hospital. And this is just the start as the people of the hospital starts to encounter numerous horrific events. Moving on to the number 4 spot, the number 4 movie goes to the most recently released film on this list, Metamorphosis. This extremely freaky movie was directed by Kim Hong-sun, who's responsible for other movies such as The Chase, The Con Artist, and one of the best Korean thrillers, Traffickers. The film starred Bae Sung-woo, Song Dong-il, Chang Young-nam, Kim Hae-jun, Jo Wi-yeon, and Kim Kang-hoon, and this was another movie I had free tickets to, and so saw in theaters without knowing much about it. I've got a video movie review of Metamorphosis if you would like more details regarding the film. The synopsis is as follows. As a demon that can change into human enters a family's home, extremely strange things start to take place. Everyone in the household starts to accuse and distrust each other, and things get more and more out of hand. The family turns to an exorcist for help, but things don't go as planned. Next, the number 3 spot is the 2004 film, R-Point. R-Point is a classic when it comes to Korean horror movies and is almost always included in people's list of top K-horror films. The movie was directed by Gong Soo-chang, who also did GP506 and Coma, and stars the likes of Kam Woo-sung, Son Byung-ho, Park Won-sang, Oh Tae-kyung, and Lee Sung-gyun. R-Point isn't a typical horror movie, as I feel like it has a very mysterious vibe that adds to the scary meter and really makes you think, and it's this thinking part that makes it that much more scary. I won't go too into it as I don't want to spoil anything, but the basic synopsis of R-Point is as follows. In 1972, as the end of the Vietnam War nears, Lieutenant Che Tae-in suffers from nightmares as he's the lone survivor of the Battle of Hombao. His request to return home is withdrawn, and the CID commander gives him a secret mission. On the night of February 2nd, 1972, the radio of the communications unit of the division's headquarters receives mysterious messages. The calls were from the 18 soldiers that were on the Romeo Point mission from 6 months ago, who all died during the operation. The mission of Lieutenant Choi is to secure evidence that confirms the death of the 18 soldiers. And now, just 2 movies left. The number 2 movie is a relatively newer film compared to some of the older movies on this list, The Wailing. The Wailing was directed by Na Hong-jin, who also directed The Yellow Sea as well as another amazing Korean thriller, The Chaser. The film starred the actors Kwak Do-won, Hwang Jung-min, Kun Imura-jun, Chun Woo-ri, and Kim Hwan-hee, and this is one of the most globally recognized Korean movies. I'd say this is right up there alongside Train to Busan in terms of recognition, and I believe The Wailing is the only horror movie that I voluntarily watched a second time. From the story to the acting and just the overall atmosphere it provides, I highly enjoyed the film. The synopsis of The Wailing is as follows. Upon the arrival of a strange man, a town starts to suffer from a series of mysterious events. The police closes the case claiming that it's the addiction to the mushrooms that the villagers have for the reason of the events, but rumors and suspicions spread that the cause of all the incidents was due to the new strange man. Jong-gu, a cop, meets with the woman that claims she witnessed the incident and starts to believe all the rumors. As his own daughter starts to show symptoms of the same nature as the affected villagers, Jong-gu starts to go after the truth. And finally, the number 1 movie of my list of best Korean horror movies. The number 1 movie goes to the 2003 masterpiece directed by Kim Ji-yoon, A Tale of Two Sisters. If you're a fan of the horror genre and Korean movies, you could have probably guessed that A Tale of Two Sisters will take the number 1 spot. Kim Ji-yoon, the director, is one of the most well-known Korean directors, bringing some of the most well-known Korean movies. His other works includes the likes of The Age of Shadows, I Saw the Devil, The Good, the Bad, the Weird, and A Bittersweet Life, all of which are must-watch films. A Tale of Two Sisters stars great actors Im Soo-jung, Yeom Jung-ah, Kim Gap-soo, and Moon Geun-young, and the synopsis of the film is as follows. A Japanese-style wooden house stands alone in a rural area. The house, which is beautiful in the daytime, begins to emit a deafening gloom when darkness falls. In this house with unusual energy, 2 sisters, Sumi and Soo-yeon, move in with their father and new stepmother. The day Soo-yeon and Sumi came to the house from Seoul, the stepmother welcomed the sisters in a friendly manner, but the sisters aren't as welcoming in their greeting. As Sumi tries to take care of her father and younger sister on behalf of their dead biological mother, the stepmother gets into frequent fights with the sisters, and the father just sits by without intervening. As the relationship continues to go downhill, strange things start to occur in the house. That concludes today's video on my list of best Korean horror movies. Some movies you may believe that are worthy of being on this list may not have been included, but please remember that this list was based on my personal taste. If you have differing views, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below or on the EonTalk Telegram group. Also, if you enjoyed this video and have other requests for future videos, Be sure to like and comment on this video and subscribe to the channel. Lastly, join the EonTalk Patreon if you would like to show your support in what I do. Once again, thank you to everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next one.